Hello everyone, I just want to talk about the cranial nerves today. You need to know all 10 of the cranial nerves as well as their number, their name, and their function. It is only for your information only to know the origin and the exit foramina for all the cranial nerves because there's an asterisk right next to them. And that means just for your information only. It was not something you need for the lab exam to have memorized, as well as some of the branches of the nerves. You see there's an asterisk next to them. You don't need to know that for the lab exam again. You can see the trigeminal nerve has many different branches and 3 different branches and some different functions for each branch. You can see a lot of them are redundant, so that will help you determine what function you're going to choose, and just generally know that it's going to be revolving around the sensation of touch and pain, particularly in the face and the lower jaw. And then remember, there's another page. This is in the lab manual, page 65, and there's another side to it to know the last of the nerves, the cranial nerves. You also need to know these nerves right here. You have to find them in A&P revealed and know where they innervate, where the branches of the nerves are going. You have to know this as well. So the first model we're going to want to look at, first we're going to go through a couple models in my next parts of this video, so let's go right to it. All right, this is the first model that you're going to want to look at. You can see it has all the spinal nerves, all 31 pairs. I have this on my website as well as an answer page or picture for it. So let's look at, let's turn the brightness down here. All right, this is where you can see all the cranial nerves right near the pons in the midbrain and right below the cerebrum. So we have cranial nerve. Something's going on with the brightness. There we go. Hopefully that'll help you all. I'm steadying my hand a little bit. Okay. Cranial nerve 1, the olfactory nerve. You can see, be right over the cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone. Cranial nerve 2, the optic nerves. Here's the optic chiasm. Let me turn this light down a little bit. Cranial nerve 3, the oculomotor nerve, right here in the midbrain. Cranial nerve 4 on the lateral side of the midbrain, on the cerebral peduncle. The trochlear nerve. Cranial nerve 5, trigeminal nerve. Oh, let me get it in the right spot. Trigeminal nerve. Remember, there's one on each side. I'm just showing one side. Cranial nerve 6 right here is the abducens nerve. Cranial nerve 7, facial nerve, and all the way laterally to it. Let me wait for it to focus. Is it going to focus? Okay. You can see it's right there next to the facial nerve. Cranial nerve 8. Okay, that was cranial nerve 8. Cranial nerve 9, just below it, coming off the medulla oblongata, called the glossopharyngeal nerve. Just inferior to that, the vagus nerve. I don't know why it's not focusing very well. Oh, there we go. Wow, so much better. Okay, accessory nerve is going to be all of this right here. Accessory nerve. This is a cranial nerve 11, and then cranial nerve 12, hypoglossal nerve right here, coming off the pyramids of the medulla oblongata. Let's get another look at that. Sorry for this being shaky. I'm like holding it above the model. And just look out for this picture on my website. The other model you want to study for the cranial nerves is this diencephalon, plus the brainstem model. I have a whole video on this that includes talking about the cranial nerves, so please review that, as well as some pictures and an answer picture on my website. Okay, another way you can study the cranial nerves, of course, is with A&P revealed. You open it up, go to the nervous section, scroll down to cranial nerves in the topic, and then view you want to look at the inferior brain view for the cranial nerves. These ones, not so much. And let's first look at this inferior brain view, then we'll see why you don't want to focus on these tabs too much. So you have this view. You show all the tags by clicking the circle. This will show all 12 of the nerves. You click it, it will highlight it for you. The cranial nerve number 1, the olfactory nerve. It doesn't tell you the function, but that's okay because we have that table in the lab manual for your functions, but you can see where it's at. You need to know this view for all of the cranial nerves, and you'll be able to find all of them, and it will highlight it for you. Now if anyone wants to know how to go back to your main list, you click the structure list, it'll bring you back. Now if on the lab exam, yeah, you should be somewhat familiar with these images, but the questions on a lab exam, since it's kind of confusing, like this is the accessory nerve. If you go to the vagus nerve, this is the vagus nerve, and they look really similar. It could be very confusing to tell which is which on the lab exam. So there'll be some sort of setup on the lab exam that'll lead you into which nerve you're looking at. So generally know where the nerve is coming out. Is it coming out near the medulla oblongata? Or is it near the midbrain? Just to have a sense where it is, and then look at, if there'd be a question on an image like this, they'll have some sort of setup. But mainly focus on the inferior view for studying the cranial nerves. And it's really well done, I think. Another thing you can do is you can go to this 3D model, open up everything, skeletal, nervous, muscular, cardiovascular, muscular, remove all the skeletal components. You can remove all the muscles, and then here you can even remove all the vessels, and it will leave you with this view of all the nerves. And once you get good at it, you should be able to, I've been able to identify all the nerves here pretty easily. Once you get good at it, you'll be able to do this as well. So look out for knowing this view of the nerves also. And there's one more model you need to look at. That'll be on my lab resource page, the Google site. Go to the nervous system tab. Sorry, everything moves a little bit slow when I'm using my record feature. Okay, basically go all the way, almost all the way down. Go to the sinuses and meninges and cranial cavity model. You'll see I have an answer sheet with all the nerves right here, but it's a little bit more tricky because the brainstem and the diencephalon have been removed, but you can see where they're kind of would have been attaching to it. This is a little more advanced look at it. You can certainly tell the optic nerves, the olfactory nerve. So probably the last thing you want to look at is this. This is a little more advanced way to learn the cranial nerves. But we do have this model as a testable model for the lab exam. And that'll be the ways you're going to want to learn the cranial nerves for this upcoming lab exam. And I think once you go about looking at all these different ways to learn the cranial nerves, you'll be happy with how it came through to you. Okay, so I'll see you on the next video. Good luck studying.